we're on.
Hi there, everyone. This is Jenni Walke from Elephant in the Room Consulting and Kylie Mowbray-Allen from Hello Media, and you're tuning into the Bite Size Business Live podcast, the show that helps small business owners get clarity and insight to grow their dream business. How are you today, Kylie?
I'm great. How are you, Jenny?
I am amazing. I am so good. It's the last week of the year before we kind of take a break, so I'm excited about wrapping things up and getting my plans ready for the new year. What about you?
Yes. I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm certainly ready for a break for sure. Now, for those that thought that they were listening in on Friday last week to a special Jenni and Kylie together session, we were together, but we had some technical glitches, so we had to move it to today. So that's why you might just see us randomly popping up today. That's what's happening.
And it was so good to actually hang out and spend time with. We haven't seen each other, I think, in person for probably about 2 years. So I think the first year we spent a lot of time in face-to-face sessions, and then of course COVID changed the world. And since then, I think we've caught up a few times. So it was so nice to just hang out and talk sort of random stuff over the weekend. And we're doing it again in January.
And celebrate your birthday. That was very exciting.
Yeah, the birthday was lots of fun.
And you know what was really cool for me too is that we did some little technical things, like other than our technical hitch, but you know, we both got those new mics for when we're on the road and things, so we got that all set up, and that's really fun. So yeah, I do love having someone helping me with the tricky ticky bits.
Yeah, I find that in a lot of the jobs I do, people are like, can you do the tech? I feel like in another life I was the IT person.
Yeah.
Because so often I'm like showing people how to set up things on Teams or go to SharePoint or create links or just, you know, use Mentimeter or whatever it might be. So it was so cool to actually get the little mics, the Rode travel mics are so good and the sound is so clear. It's going to be amazing when you do your podcast, you do your live radio show next year. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think I'm particularly untechy, but when it comes to the things, setting up the things, you know, like, what do you call it? The hardware, I guess. Sometimes I just get really like, oh, I don't get this at all. And everyone assumes because I'm in digital marketing that I would be like some kind of tech guru. I just let people down over and over because I can't do any of it.
I know. And it's that technology there's so many different facets of technology, isn't there? It's like, so I've got a colleague of mine who their focus is on actually just trying to work out how to use Canva this year. So that's a technology platform that, you know, so many people use, but for others, they're able to set up their whole IT network, build websites, but they struggle with Canva. So sometimes there's just a block with one or two platforms and you just need to take some time to nut it out. But there's so many different ways that you can be a tech head and still not know how to, you know, debug a computer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it? Funny. So Jenni, our topic today is all about that. I like to call it the BHAG, which is the big, fat, hairy, audacious goal, but it's more commonly known as the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. But for me, I just got to add fat in there because I just love that. Yeah, really big, fat one. So we'll just call it the BHAG for want of a name that most people then know of. But it's cool, isn't it? The big, hairy, audacious goal is like, yeah, we can all set goals for the year. And you and I ran a fabulous a series of 2 masterclasses the end of last year and the beginning of this year, all about setting those goals and moving in there. But setting one that's your really big one, I think is really exciting. It gives you something, whether it's that you want to do a holiday or you want to earn a certain amount or whatever it is that you want that to be your goal, launch a course, launch a new website, whatever it is. Coming up with one that just feels like the really big one that's a do or die, get going with it. And I think it's so important that you look at something before the end of the year. What do you reckon about that?
Oh, I agree. It's now is the perfect time to do it. You don't want to be starting in January because when you start to work in January, you pretty much won't set your goals till almost February because let's face it, we have that first week of January, then it's the second week. By the time you start goal setting and planning the year, you've lost a whole month. And unless you want your planning to be February to January instead of January to December, you definitely need to start doing your goal setting and your planning now. One of the things about the big, hairy, audacious goal that I love, and it's Jim Collins' concept that from his book Built to Last, which is one of my favorite business building books. If you're new to business, get Built to Last is a wonderful book just to kind of get some really great simple concepts. And he's an educator, so he presents the information so beautifully. But with the BHAG, there's two ways that I look at it with clients. For me, there's that annual goal. So it's the big goal it's my stretch goal. It's the one that's so audacious.
Stretch goal.
Yeah, it's like a stretch goal. So I may or may not get to reach. If I don't reach it, it's like so big. It's like the aspirational goal. So this audacious goal is like, I'm going to be so audacious that I'm going to say, I'm going to do this. And that means everything goes to you feeling big and bold and constantly driving to this massive goal. Now that might change every year if you're in a massive growth phase in your business. But the other way to look at the BHAG is something that is so audacious that it takes you a couple of years to get to. So you don't have to create a new BHAG every year. What you create is remember and remind yourself what your BHAG is, and then say, what are the other things that I need to do in the smaller goals and the smaller steps that I need to do to build towards that audacious goal. So for example, for me, I eventually want to be able to build an amazing leadership and business retreat center down on country in Bundjalung country, by the water. That's like a $9 to $10 million dream. That's a big dream. It is a BHAG. It's massive. It would be a place where people could come and stay. We could run leadership workshops and business workshops, and my mum can run women's retreats and the work that she does. And it would be a great place just to connect. That is an audacious goal. I'm not going to make that this year. And I know that, but everything that I do builds towards getting equity in the business, getting assets so that we can eventually get this BHAG, which is a 5-year BHAG. So that's how I look at it. There's the smaller goals, which could be an annual kind of BHAG, or there's that really big audacious goal that when you get it, it'll be like, damn, this has finally come to fruition.
That is an absolutely fabulous BFAG. That one is definitely a BFAG more than a BHAG.
Yes.
I love it. I also have a very massive BFAG, but I don't really talk about it because it doesn't seem, well, it's certainly not within a year. So you did right. It's a 5-year plan. And mine's all around the disability space, but particularly for spinal cord injuries. And it's a worldwide thing. And it's super exciting. I'm certainly not going to it right now because it's long and convoluted. But yes, to the needing to recognize and go, that's my 5-year BFAG or my 10-year BFAG or my 2-year BFAG. So what do I need to put in place to get there? So then might be that this year, it might be that you need to do X number of revenue to put away X number of revenue, or it could be that you need to, all kinds of things. So what do you reckon, Jenni, about that, breaking it down? Once you've come up with that one big fat one, what then happens next?
Well, I think the key piece is to actually break it down into attainable kind of chunks. Now, remember, this is great.
Bite size, right?
Bite-sized chunks, exactly. I love a bite-sized chunk. I look at it like rungs on a ladder. Those who've done our goal setting know that I love the rungs on the ladder metaphor. So my BFAG or my BHAG is the top of the ladder. I'm at the very top of the ladder when I get to where I want to be. So I think about all the rungs on the ladder that I need to achieve between now and that 5 years in order to me to obtain and to reach that. And so they could be as simple as I need to post on social every day to get visible so that I can actually get engagement, so I can build my business. So when people say to me, how do I connect? Why is social media important? I can say, if I don't post today, I'm not going to get my $9 million leadership center on country down by the beach, because I need to be visible, engaging, and letting people know who I am. And how do I do that? I do that through social. So you can set yourself some chunks of goals, and then you put that down into actions. I like the word actions versus goals because goals scare people, right? Think of the soccer that we've just been watching in the World Cup. Goals can be rare, right? But when you get them, they're amazing. But if we go, what are the actions that I need to take in order to do things? So if you're on a soccer field, we need to work as a team. We need to be able to, anticipate our competitors. We need to be able to, defend ourselves, but also be able to respond and be offensive when we need to. So all those actions actually allow you to get that goal. It's not the goal, it's the actions that we take in order to achieve that. So for me, I say, well, what does that look like? Let's break that down into lots of little things that we need to do. And then we can chunk those into time periods. So this week, I'm going to do these 5 actions. And then next week, I'm going to build on those actions. And then the week after, I'm going to build on those actions. And now it doesn't seem so scary. And I'm just doing 1 action a day or 2 actions a day in order to achieve this massive goal. And that's the thing. I think we get scared when we talk about goals. We get a little bit kind of overwhelmed. What does that mean? I've never done it before. So therefore, how could I possibly know what to do, right? But we know what to do. The goal came to mind. So if the goals come into our head, somewhere in there is the actual mechanics and the understanding of what you need to do to achieve that. And if you don't, you reach out to people like you or I or your own coach, and we can help you discover that.
You're dead right. And you know what? I love that you've said you literally pull it down into actionable things, bite-sized things that are every single day. But what happens when we fall off the wagon? And that's whether you are going to the gym every day and then you suddenly, I'll give you an example. I'm, eating right. I'm doing this right, blah, blah, blah. Then I go away and then I come back and I'm like, I'm a bit tired. I've got a few little extra things to do, so I won't go today. And then the next thing happens, I don't go tomorrow. And then haven't got to, do the grocery shopping. So I'm not quite eating right, just quite right again. So then suddenly a whole week's passed from the return. Then another week's passed. And then it feels a bit overwhelming to get back on that plan. It feels bigger than it did the first time.
Yes.
So I think that's the same in terms of your business goals. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what this is like, because I've certainly don't like to miss posting on socials. That's a priority. But I know for some, they'll be like, actually, I didn't post this week. And then, I didn't post next week. And then I had a Zoom session with someone the other day who had said to me in a message, Facebook actually doesn't work for me in my business. My people really aren't there. And I was like, okay. So I went and had a look at his Facebook, and he hadn't posted since 2018. Wow.
He's not there, so why?
Fair enough, you say it's not working, but I think you're not really working there. So it's, either you got to pick that back up and run with it. But the bottom line is, I reckon for him, he was doing it a little bit. It wasn't working. So he just went, nah, no one's there. What am I posting for? I'm just not going to. And then the not going to turned into not just a month, not just 1 year, but 4 years. So then it feels too much, doesn't it? So what do you think about when you've fallen off that wagon?
I think we're all human, right? So if we were a robot, we would be programmed every day to do the tasks we need to do. We wouldn't have to think about it. But you imagine a robot doesn't have shame. A robot doesn't have fear or anxiety or stress. And so if you imagine yourself as a robot, and why am I not working? Why am I not doing this every day? Because we're human and we have all these emotions that kind of start to come into us. And generally, if someone falls off the wagon, as you say, there's a little bit of shame there. And then it's like, I don't want to go back tomorrow, or I don't want to do it now because, I've missed a day, so I'll just miss it. I'll just start again on Monday. And so you break the habit. And the analogy I use is brushing your teeth. So when you're a kid and you learn to brush your teeth, when you didn't brush your teeth one day, your parents didn't shame you for it. They said, just brush them the next day. And you just get back on the horse. You just go, I just brush my teeth again. Because brushing your teeth over time gives you better teeth, right? Very simple analogy. We don't shame ourselves if we miss a day. We just get up the next morning, we brush our teeth, and we do it again. And the same thing applies. If you've got a plan in place, and this is why I use the Eisenhower Matrix, my Do First Matrix, which is based on the Eisenhower Matrix, is really about keeping you on track and building habits. So there are things that I do every day that sit on that Eisenhower Matrix, no matter rain, hail, or shine. They are in my top left quarter or my top right-hand corner of my Eisenhower Matrix. So they're the do things first, or the stuff I schedule. And so they're always in my diary. They're always front and center. If I miss a day, I wake up the next day, guess what? They're back in the diary. So when you fall off the wagon, just imagine you're brushing your teeth. You just get up and you redo it. Let's start again. There's no shame in that.
I just love the brush the teeth one, because one thing that you didn't mention, which is that brushing our teeth is for our future self. So brushing your teeth as a kid or brushing your teeth as a 40-year-old is the same. It's all about protection and strength and, strong teeth, good teeth, for the future, so that it's not going to cost us a bomb in fixing those teeth. So I think that's so important. And it's the same in business too. What we do today is for our future self.
100%. And I think Robin Sharma said, you live your every moment of the day, or every day is like a microcosm of your whole life. So how you live one day is how you live every day. And so if you have a bad day, you can choose to have a bad day forever, or you can choose to have one bad day and then have a great day every other day. And so for us as humans, I think we get into that anxiety stress cycle. So I'm stressed about what I have to do, and then I have anxiety about not doing it. So we get stuck in this kind of cycle, and that kind of derails us. And so the first thing, and my partner and I talk about this all the time, it was on a Big Bang Theory conversation, and we're like, how do you let things go? And it's like, pretend you're holding a pen and let it go. Just let it go. You don't have to hold on to those things. It's a choice, and you can just go, I did a bad thing, or I dropped the wagon or dropped the ball for a week. You know what? It's Tuesday. I'm back on. Doesn't have to be a Monday. Doesn't have to be a Friday. Just start whenever you're ready. Just get back on the horse.
I think a lot of us have that little problem where we go, I'll start again on Monday. But then there's all those other days that you could actually start again. And if you start again on Monday and it doesn't happen on that Monday, that's, I think, how weeks become years and become decades.
Completely agree with you. I mean, I have the habit, I've been traveling so much with my clients and with work that I haven't been going to gym in the morning, but I came back last week, back at gym with the first day I'm back in Brisbane, I'm back in gym. And, so it doesn't matter that I've missed 4 days. When I'm back at the gym. Because if I don't do that, if I said, oh, well, I won't go today, and then I won't go tomorrow, that habit is completely broken. That cycle is completely broken. But if I actually say, look, I know that I'm having 4 days not at the gym. And to be honest, I had a so full bag of other things that I needed to take on my last trip. I couldn't even pack runners to take, right? So I just walked a little bit, but I didn't do anywhere near as much exercise as I would normally do when I travel. So I knew that up front. I didn't shame myself for it. I was like, this is what it is. I'm having a little bit of a break. And when I come back, I'm back at the gym, and it hurts today, right? 3 days back. And I'm like, I am feeling my week off, but that's the response, right? That's the result. It's not shame. It's not doing it. It's just, there's a consequence, which for me, for gym, is a little bit of a sore body. However, I'm going to feel so much better tomorrow when I go back to gym.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, my trainer's away. Well, she closes for a month. So Friday was our last session, and I'm like, Kylie, how's this going to go for you? Because, this next week is prep for Christmas. Last week of work, it's full on. The next week is post-Christmas and holiday. Like, all of a sudden, I don't want it to be a month's up and go, oof.
Do I want to go back?
I didn't do anything. Yeah, that's not good, is it? Not good at all. So BHAG, Jenni, we've got your BHAG for 5 years. We've got mine for 5 years. What is your one for this year that by December, you really will have felt that you've achieved getting ready, or some step in the journey to your 5-year one?
Well, we've got two core goals for the business actually for our year. I mean, we want to launch in the US in the new year. And so we really want to start taking out the retreat model, our 3-day retreat. Everybody does things online. And I know that works for a lot of people. But for me, when I do the business coaching, and you've come to our retreats, those 3 days away where you're not thinking about anything else, you're not in front of a computer, pretty much for 3 days on our retreats and our business retreats, it really helps people focus. So my goal is to actually run those twice in the US next year, and we're relaunching them here in Australia. So we're going to run them twice in Australia, and the goal will be twice in the US. So by the end of the year, that's our long-term goal. That's our big goal for next year, because we know that's actually going to help us launch our position in the market in the US, but it's also going to allow us to, we can have, between up to 10 people, depending on the venue. We're looking at a couple at the moment, but up to 10 people 4 times a year doing that coaching. That is the best way that I can get impact. I can create amazing connections with business owners, but also it gets me closer to having a permanent space here in Australia.
And Jenni, let's use yours then as a marker for how we would coach our clients to get there. So for example, what do you need to do? We need to think about, when you bring it back, firstly, the question is, how are people in the States going to know about you? How do they eat? How do you even get visible in the States? Well, what did you say earlier? You need to post.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
the first thing we need to do is not only posting, but it's also making sure we're really connecting with the US market. So being visible to the US market means finding different groups and new groups, finding business owners both on Facebook and probably LinkedIn in the US to really connect with our clients and potential clients. It's also about making sure our messaging is right. So we have started to do that, looking at the messaging that we're talking about, looking at where we're going to do that. And in fact, we're looking at actually getting a person on the ground in the US who's actually going to do those discovery calls in real time for the US. So instead of me doing them at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., which I was willing to do, we actually can get a booker and a salesperson in the US who's actually going to help us deliver that for us. So they'll understand our message, they'll understand the business, they'll work for us, and they'll actually be selling our product into the US for us. So they can have those great conversations that we do on discovery calls where we get to talk about what you can achieve through those days. So we're putting those plans in place. They're going to be ready by January, February next year for a June and then hopefully a September launch. But most important, it starts though with that visibility, right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
It starts
Absolutely.
with making sure my website, making sure we have a US website that's going to resonate with the US market. So there's that a different landing page. Is that making sure the languages have a Z on them and not an S when we talk organization and when we're writing words that that have those two different things. So it needs to make sure it resonates. So that's the first piece of work we're doing, which is about messaging and clarity and making sure we're getting visible.
Awesome. And one thing that you've just recently done is obviously been in the States, been making new connections and things. So that's so awesome. So really reaching out to all of those people that you met at the various networking and the conference and the awards and all of that, connecting with those people, sending out some newsletters that are super friendly and, showing your authority in the marketplace, and then saying, hey, did you know I've got these awesome retreats coming up in the States, would love to see you there, but perhaps you've got a friend that might really enjoy that.
Exactly. And
they're
then
utilizing those connections that you've made.
Definitely. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Like whenever we're trying to grow a business and change, we often forget, and I see this all the time, where we just focus and we focus so much on one thing, we forget about all the connections and the experiences and the people that we already know who might have people who actually want to join the program. So it's going back and looking at who we can connect with. We met some amazing people while we were in the States for the 2 weeks that we were there, and we'll be definitely connecting with those to make sure that that they know that the event is happening. And where it is, we're looking at doing one on East Coast and one on the West Coast, so we can actually cover off both sides of the continent, and making sure that we can actually connect with people. So it's really those smaller things. And if I think about that, okay, do we have a venue? Let's pick a date. Who's going to sell it in? Look at the website, having connections with the social media, making sure we're in groups. All those different things allow us to actually do the work, but without actually focusing on the big scary goal. I'm just focusing on the actions that I need to do.
Yes, that's totally it. So again, coming back down to the bite-sized bits, what are the bite-sized chunks that I need to take off, because I need to be able to take tiny baby steps to get there. Otherwise, I'm completely overwhelmed. So I think yours was a great example when we look at what's the big thing you want to do, or the two big things you want to do, but what do you have to do first to be able to get there? And the first thing is, I've got to get visible. I've got to book that's an ongoing thing though. I've got to book a date. I've got to book a venue. I've got to do all those exciting things. And each one of those is on that to-do list. It's on that Eisenhower matrix. It's tick, 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 tick. And ticking off to-dos feels great.
So good. It's because they're like little mini goals, right? So the habits, like our BHAGs or any goals you make, start with basic habits. So my habit is my Eisenhower matrix every day. I know what I need to do. So I've got those things. I've got the goal stuff. And then I've got my day-to-day business. I've got some recording to do. I've got some blogs to write. I've got client reports to do. I've got those standard things. And then there's always a little space for, what am I doing? This is the future business, right? We often focus only on current business, which is why these BHAGs don't actually get achieved, excuse me, is because we're only focusing on current business. And when we connect current business and future business together and say, well, here's some parts that I need to do for future business, but this stuff is current business: marketing, socials, connections, networking, building your understanding of the market, making sure you're visible. All those things are both current and future business. So when you start to bring those together, the BHAG becomes so much more attainable and everybody gets on board with that vision. And that's the thing about a BHAG that we haven't talked about, is that a BHAG is the whole organization's goal. It's not just my goal. It's not just your goal. It's our team's goal as well. This is what we're working towards as an organization, not just as an individual. And as you grow your business, whether it's you and one person, whether it's just you on your own, you think about this is what you're doing for your business, not just for yourself. And they're different. And I think when we start to just think on our own, we feel like an island. But if we think about ourselves as a business that has a supply chain and customers, and we're at the center of that, then we actually have a purpose to drive to get that BHAG. And I think that's where we need to start shifting our mindset. It's not my goal, it's my company's goal. It's where we want to be as a company so that we can actually have that influence and create that impact that we want to have in the work that we do.
I love it so much, Jenni. Now we have some stuff to share that's coming through the chat. So Jack Canfield talks about having different folders for different tasks and having lists in those folders. So if you feel like marketing today, you have a list ready to go and you know what the next step in that is in that task. Jacqueline, thanks for sharing that. Do you know what? I'd never heard of that. Yeah. Have you heard of that, Jenni?
I have heard of the work that Jack Canfield does, and it's great work.
I love it. I really love it.
And really, and the perfect time to share it, Jacqueline. I really appreciate you sharing it because it's the list, right? It's we don't like writing lists, or we write lists, but we don't do anything with them. If you have a really focused list, and this is why it's focused, because we know what we're trying to achieve. So often I see business owners who'll be like, I'm going to write my list of things. And when you look at the list, they're just noise, right? They're just stuff that I'm using to fill my day. I've got all these little things that aren't actually working towards a goal. So that's why I love that ladder analogy, because everything that I do moves me up a rung on the ladder. As I'm doing that, I know this, by doing this piece, I can get to the next rung. Now the rungs might be only like a centimeter apart, and there might be 1,000 of them. It doesn't matter how many rungs there are. It's actually just saying I'm moving forward. So every action you take in your business should be moving you forward or sideways if you need to, but it needs to taking action. It's not about saying I'm doing something, but I'm in the same place as I was this morning. I'm doing something that moves me forward. I'm doing something else that's moving me forward or pivoting me or moving sideways because I might have some parallel things that are going on. But that's when you're thinking of activities that move you forward, allow you and enable you to reach your big, fat, hairy, audacious being the key word goal, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love it so much. For me, often when I'm filling out my matrix, which I generally do on a Monday morning, and then sometimes I'll do it one each day, but often it's for a Monday and it will get me through the week. However, there have been times when I thought, I really need a few of those because they're completely different parts of my business.
Yeah.
And so actually, as soon as I read that about the folders, I thought, I really like that because maybe I literally could have two and then boom, they're completely separate. And for me, maybe one of them is that's the one that is literally the getting it done. And those are the things that have to be done. The other one is actually, it could be put off for 3 days. I could completely ignore it and then go like you were saying, I feel like marketing today, I'm going to do it. That's not my situation, but whatever it was regarding, that would be great.
Yeah.
I like it. There you go. There you go. Thanks for sharing that, Jacqueline. That's fabulous. I'm going to go off and I was going to say I'm going to read that during my break, but as we just ascertained before we went live today, Jenni, there isn't really going to be a break, but there will be a break from business. And I think that's a really important thing. So if any of you guys are in the same situation as me, or not the same, but similar, where you were planning on a break, you were very excited about your break, and then you find out that one of your husband's carers is taking the exact same break. So, and then you can't have a replacement at that time. So I'm going to be pretty much a full-time carer again. So that's exciting. But the thing to focus on is not the fact that I'm tired, I want a break, I'm overwhelmed, It's the fact that I'm not going to be coming into my office. I'm not going to be turning on the computer. My brain is going to be free of those things and it's going to be focused on other things. That is a break. So even if it's not a holiday, it's still a break from that particular stuff that was filling up your brain. And, you know, we all need to step away so we can look a bit clearly, look at things clearly. So there you go. If that's the same for you, that you're not really getting a break, you are, if you're able to step away. Think of Brenda, Jenny. She's both our clients and we love working with Brenda. She's not taking a break, no matter how much you and I would whip that ass saying,
No.
you have to take a break. But then she reminded me the other day, I am though, because I'm closing the shop and I'm setting up shelves and I'm rearranging and I'm all that kind of stuff. And she said, so that is a break. I was like, okay, I'll give you that one. If it's doing something different.
Yeah, and I think it's so important though, and whatever you call a break, and let's reframe that, because we might still suggest that that's not a break, Brenda, but that's okay.
Yeah.
If that works for you, that's okay. But for me, like, I'm not working. Our business, our office is closed for 2 weeks. But I said, and Michael's like, so you're not working? I was like, no, I'm going to do a few little things, and I'll probably be doing a little thing every day. I might do an hour and a half every day of just stuff to tidy up or to plan or to prep for the coming year. But just having that hour and a half every week of thinking differently. I'm not on a deadline. I'm not working for a client or particularly for a project. It's just me thinking, okay, well, what can I do today that's going to help me actually achieve that? Do I need to prep? Because by doing that hour and a half, instead of an 8-hour day or a 10-hour day or a longer day, I can just do 90 minutes every day over the 2-week break. And then when I finish, I'm actually going to be prepared better for the new year. I'll have gotten things through. My team will be happy because I've got my socials done in time instead of them chasing me on Slack every day. I might have a couple of extra blogs written, or I might just actually take the time to read a particular book or do one of those courses that I have had waiting on my to-do list for so long that I know is only going to take 90 minutes. And so I can actually devote 90 minutes to do that program. And so that for me is a break, because it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of focusing, but it's still giving me the satisfaction to not thinking I'm dropping the ball. And I understand like where Brenda's coming from. If I don't do anything, it's wasted time, right? Well, it's not, but find a way to use that time to help you kind of ease yourself out of the day-to-day grind I think is what you and I are trying to say.
Yes. And I just want to know, did everybody feel as much satisfaction as I did when Jenny said the things that I never get done on the to-do list? Because Jenny, we all think that you are so working your Eisenhower matrix so perfectly that there's never anything that's not getting done. And to know that secretly there is, yes.
There's always things on the list. Always. If you're a business owner and have nothing on your list, then we need to talk, people. Like, if you can get through everything every week, we need to have a conversation, because either one, you are just a boss at time management, and we maybe just need to have a conversation.
We need to be learning from you then.
Yeah, that's right. Or two, you're not stretching yourself enough and you're not thinking big enough, or you're not kind of looking bigger. And that's okay too. Like, if you just want, I just want a little business, I'm just going to do little things every day. That's cool. But yeah, I like having things on my to-do list, because it actually inspires me to be like, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and do this. It's going to be so important. So yeah.
So Jenny, if there were people listening out there saying to themselves, okay, maybe I'm going to be like Jenny, and maybe it's not going to be an hour and a half every day during my break, but maybe I'm going to actually achieve one thing during my break that is for my future business self next year, that's going to make things easier. What would be one thing that you would recommend would be a great thing to do?
I think, well, you and I have talked about this, and a lot of our clients, the social thing, I think, is really, it can overwhelm people, particularly when they don't kind of get that connection, that how important being visible is to actually just growing your business. It doesn't have to be on socials if you don't want to, but writing a blog, updating your website, making sure it has alt text, whatever it might be, just making sure that there's that visibility piece. So I would say, if you want to just take a break, but you actually want to help prepare yourself for the new year, I would spend 30 minutes on a day just writing some social posts that you can have in the bank for the new year, so that when you start the new year, you're not panicked about what do I need to write today. You've got a bank of socials there, or a bank of blogs, or whatever it might be on your website. It might be updating your capability statement if you're in the corporate space. So I think taking just 30 minutes a day to do that, you could write, most people can write, in the first day, you probably write 3 posts in 30 minutes. But by the end of doing that, you'll probably be writing 5 or 6 posts in 30 minutes and even more. So imagine the bank of posts that you'll have, or blogs that you'll have up your sleeve, if you just spend 30 minutes a day over your 1 or 2 week break to just focus on that for the new year.
I love it. And what I'm adding to that is that I say my suggestion would be go forth and write some blogs.
Yes.
So that could be that you're going on a walk and you've brought out Otter out of your the app, and you're just going to speak some ideas into it, and you're not even going to write it, but it's sitting there ready to go, and you can then transcribe that later on into a blog. But my suggestion is do 3, because 3 is my magic little number. If you can get 3 done, those 3 blogs are going to give you content for a whole month and more. And remember too that socials are gone in an instant. So if I'm taking my break from socials for the week or something, then I've missed all of your stuff. So keep in mind that we always talk about the importance of repurposing and reusing. So that's a really, really good one. But blogging is going to keep working for you forever. So as long as you have really optimized it for keywords and you're getting people, through traffic, remember that your blog needs to answer a problem or be the solution to whatever they're looking for. The gold about keywords is that you can find, let's use Brenda because we were talking about it before. So let's use her business as an example. So if you were going to be putting in a keyword that says how to make a quilt, that's not necessarily going to be getting you the right traffic that you want. But if you were finding the people that were typing in best fabrics for a patchwork quilt, that's where Brenda's going to go, yes, you're the traffic that I want. So by using those keywords, weaving that through the content, that blog post can go over and over and over. So Brenda's blog post could then be the best fabrics for a quilt, 10 top tips. So and then boom, down it goes. So she's got to come up at the very, very top of that blog. She's got to come up with the summary. Everyone assumes that you go chat through a blog and then summary. No, you put the summary up the top, because when you think about what Google is, awarding you for, it's time on your site. So if they get there and then they go summary winning, then they're enticed to read the rest of it. So that's a great way to get people moving through your blog. So that blog could then perform for you over and over and over. Then if you go and make those socials like you'd said, Jenni, then all those can lead people to your site.
I love that. And I actually hadn't even thought about that, but it's such a good, the way that you craft your blogs generally, and that little tip though, that summary as not only just becomes what Google rewards you for, that little summary can be a reel for you. It can be a social post for you. It can be, and maybe taken from your blog and put into so many different other places.
Newsletter.
Exactly. That's so, and I didn't even think about that when you were talking about, until you started talking about that. And I think it's all those different ways that we forget, excuse me, coughing, all those different ways that we forget that we can use our content and repurpose our content. And the other thing that you reminded of me of last week, if you're having a break and you want to have a break, spend a couple of days this week looking through your previous posts and see which ones performed the best, and repurpose those over the Christmas break with some new socials, maybe some slightly different hashtags if you need to, but really just you can repurpose your old posts. So if you really want to take a full break, still make sure you're visible by utilizing some of the content that was really successful previously, and use that now when you want to have that break, because it's a year ago, at least, if not 18 months ago, that people will have seen that post. And if it resonated well once, it's probably going to resonate again. And it might be the call to action that they need to reach out to you, purchase your product, or just remind people that you are there.
Totally true. And Jenni, I'm going to add to that also, which is that you said to look for your great posts. I say also look at your shitty posts, because maybe it was that they'd had a graphic that didn't resonate with people, but maybe your caption was awesome, but they didn't even read it because your graphic didn't draw them in. So then still repurpose the post, but create something different that's going to stop the scroll and then get them reading that caption. Because sometimes we put so much effort in, they're not seen, they're not loved, whatever, but there maybe have been nothing wrong with, and sometimes there was nothing wrong with the graphic, but the caption didn't grab them. Or the fact that, we're getting much more, what do you call it? Oh, you're just doing better with video. So maybe instead turn it into a video. There's one really cool new feature at the moment that if you put up just a straight graphic, you're getting offered to put some audio with it. Doesn't turn it into a reel or anything, which I'm thrilled about, but it literally just has some really cool music with it. So if you've got some text on your graphic, people are just looking at it and watching and everything, and then they're more inclined to read the caption so they can keep listening to the music. So I think that's a really fun thing. So look out for that on Instagram. When you go to post, it'll say add music, and you're like, hell yeah, I want to do that.
I love that tip. That is a great tip, and we might start using that too. Our team, I think, have already been doing that for a while, but we need to make sure that we're doing that, because I think the tip, those little bite-sized tips that you give, really does change makes it easier. And we know that by doing those things and following that advice that you give us, our socials get better, better engagement, and we're actually, not just following the trends, we're actually making sure that we're standing out on what's essentially a fairly noisy platform these days. So
yes,
I love that.
Indeed. So Jenni, we've done a longer one today, but we had a lot to chat about in terms of some big, fat, hairy, audacious goals. So next year when we come back, we've obviously got a whole bunch of more awesomeness. We also, our goal is that when we launch again with you next year, we'll have our new intro and outro, and so we're doing a little bit of work behind the scenes, aren't we, Jenni? Getting ready for all of that was exciting. So what's the date that we're back? I sent it to you yesterday and I got the date wrong. Is it the 16th, I think? That week of the 16th.
Yeah, the week of the 16th. So Friday the 20th would be the date on the 16th. So we're having a good solid break, a month off between podcasts and Bite Size on Facebook. So it's Friday the 20th of January is our date back. We're still in daylight saving time, so 8:15 in Brisbane, 9:15 if you're in New South Wales and Victoria on the East Coast, and you can adapt it for Perth and the other parts of the world. But yeah, we would love to see you back on the 20th. We're going to come back with a vengeance, as you said. That's one of our goals, isn't it, for our BHAG or our goals for our podcast. We've actually got a whole lot of really cool things that we want to achieve through this, and we're hoping to start bringing to you. We're going to start bringing that to you in the new year.
Yay, very good. Can't wait. Month off. Let's do it. We all know, though, that means work behind the scenes, but exciting stuff. I love doing the nitty gritty behind the scenes and coming out fresh and new. So thanks for listening. For those of you that would really like to keep learning through the holidays, make sure you jump off to the YouTube channels, make sure you jump off to your favorite podcast apps and listen to Bite-Sized Conversations, because we go back quite some time now. And in fact, we were looking at our analytics yesterday, and the grants, how to apply for grants, etc., was a really, really big one for us. So go back and find some topics that you think, you really need to do some learning for, and enjoy.
And have a very safe Christmas and break as well. Be productive. So that could be productive with your family, productive with your business, a bit of both. Make sure you kind of reset and use this time if you are taking a longer break. For those listening to us in the States, I know most of you guys only take a week off around Christmas. So we want to see and hear what you're doing in the new year as well, and how you're using this time of year. But we look forward to seeing you and have an amazing time. But if we want to connect with you in the next month while you're away, I know your socials are still going to be full of content, Kylie. So how do we get hold of you?
Get in touch through hellomedia.team. We can have a discovery call. It would be, like in the second or third week of January now. But yeah, I love to chat and see if I can help you with some of the issues you're having about business and getting visible in business. And what about you, Jenni?
So for me, it's Elephant in the Room AU on Insta and Facebook. They're the best ways to find us, or you can find us at elephantintheroomaau.com on our website, and you can read our blogs, maybe see some new blogs that we'll put up over the break, and connect with us through our Contact Us page, or booking a call with us as well. And we'll be back around 20th as well.
Jenni, let's just end with a plug for your retreat.
Oh, my amazing retreat.
Find out about your next retreat here in Australia.
So the best way is go to Instagram or Facebook. We've got some really great posts to tell you all the details. So we're having our next 3-day retreat in February in Southeast Queensland. We're very, very excited about it. We have 6 places available for those. And I had a birthday special. So anyone who wants to join us before the end of the year will get 25% off as a bit of a birthday special, because I've had such a great month and I really want to have this open to anyone else. So all you need to do is to pay a deposit before the end of the year. you get that amazing offer, and we'll send you all the details. But Southeast Queensland, 3 days to pretty much change your world and change your business.
Oh, I love it. Change your world and change your business. It's fabulous. I love it. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a big year. We've loved sharing with you. And yeah, we look forward to more of the same next year. So happy Christmas. Stay safe. If Christmas isn't your thing, just happy festive season.
And thank you for all the amazing comments on our chats this year and on Facebook. We look forward to having and seeing more of you next year. So have a safe and Merry Christmas, Kylie. Always amazing. We're going to catch up in the new year, and we're going to bring bigger and better things next year. So have an amazing time.
Awesome. Look forward to it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.